You are lying down, perhaps in your bed, perhaps in a quiet chair with the weight of the day finally softening. The room around you is dim, shadows long and still. You don't need to be alert now. You don't need to hold on tightly. You may simply let your body rest. Let your thoughts drift. History will carry itself. Tonight we travel far east, across mountains and deserts, across seas of memory, to a land where civilization begins beside a river of silt and flood. The story is old, older than paper, older than kingdoms, older than names carved into stone. It is the beginning of China, a story carried in earth and water, in the silence of bones, in the whisper of rivers. You don't need to stay awake to follow. Even if your eyes close, the past will still be here, waiting for you when you return. It doesn't rush, and neither should you. Breathe in and breathe out. Let the dust of ages settle around you. What is a river, you might wonder, but time itself in motion? What is a civilization, but the way humans choose to step into that current, resisting, yielding, or shaping it? And if you need one small joke before we begin, don't worry, no one will make you carry a bucket of muddy yellow river water uphill. The people of the past already did that, for thousands of years. If quiet history like this helps you rest or wander, consider subscribing. It lets this small corner of calm keep growing. And if you're still awake, share your time and place below. I'd love to know who's listening tonight. Now close your eyes and step softly onto the banks of the yellow river. The river is broad, its waters thick with silt, so full of earth that it glimmers gold beneath the sun. Its banks shift with every flood, its course wandering across the plain like a restless animal. To live beside it is both gift and danger. Its soil is rich, black and fertile, ready to feed seed into grain. But its floods come without warning, sweeping away homes, drowning fields, reshaping lives. Here, 5,000 years ago, people gather in small villages of wood and packed earth. Houses are round or square, dug partly into the ground to keep them cool in summer and warm in winter. Roofs are thatched with reeds from the riverbank, their smoke holes curling thin wisps into the sky. Dogs bark, pigs root in the dirt, chickens scatter as children chase them. The smell of firewood drifts from hearths where millet porridge thickens in clay pots. The people till their fields with simple tools, hoes of bone, spades of wood, later of stone polished sharp. Millet is their lifeblood, its small yellow grains ground into flour, boiled into gruel, pressed into cakes. Alongside it grow gourds, beans, hemp for rope, and cloth. They plant in rows, water with ditches, harvest with patience. Farming ties them to the land, rooting them in cycles of season, in rhythm of river. Yet they are not only farmers, they are hunters, setting traps for hare and deer, fishing the river with nets of twisted fibre, spearing carp that shimmer silver in muddy waters. They are potters, their hands shaping clay into jars and bowls, painted red with swirling black designs, spirals like water, diamonds like stars. Each vessel carries not only food but beauty, art woven into daily need. You walk into one of their houses, low-roofed and cool. Inside, the floor is swept earth, hard and flat. A mat of woven reeds lies near the hearth. A clay jar sits by the wall. A loom of simple wood holds threads of hemp, waiting for hands to weave. In the corner, a child sleeps, curled on straw, the soft breath of sleep steady as the river's hum. The community is small, but not fragile. They bury their dead with care, laying bodies in pits outside the village, sometimes with jars, sometimes with tools. They believe perhaps that the dead still need food, still need drink, still need companions for journey beyond. The graves whisper of reverence, of ties that stretch beyond life. At night, the village gathers. Firelight flickers on faces, shadows dance on walls. Elders tell stories of floods and survival, of spirits that dwell in water, of ancestors who watch from unseen. The stars spread above, countless and sharp, their patterns studied, their meanings guessed. The river flows nearby, dark and silent, its current steady in moonlight. Over time, Villages grow, fields spread wider, houses multiply, storage pits deepen. People gather into larger communities, tens, then hundreds, bound by labor, by need, by blood. With growth comes hierarchy, leaders to guide, shamans to pray, artisans to craft. Power begins to settle, first in hands of elders, then in those who command food, who command ritual, who command respect. You walk among them as centuries pass. Pottery grows finer, with sharper shapes, brighter designs. Tools grow stronger, stone polished smoother, jade carved into ornaments, into blades, into rings. Jade becomes precious, its cool green sheen seen as eternal, incorruptible, pure. It glimmers in graves, laid beside the dead, as gift for the afterlife. The yellow river shapes it all. Its floods force cooperation, its soil rewards persistence, its waters demand reverence. It gives life, and it threatens life, and in both it teaches unity. No single family can hold it back, no single hand can master it. The village must act as one, and so the seeds of state are sown, not only in soil but in the necessity of order, of leadership, of rule. The river also connects. Paths stretch along its banks, carrying traders, travelers, wanderers. Ideas move with them. New tools, new styles of pottery, new rituals. Villagers learn from villages, cultures from cultures. Slowly a tapestry weaves itself across the plain, each thread unique, yet bound by water's loom. You pause at the river's edge, at dusk. The sky glows red, the water glimmers gold, the reeds sway softly. A heron stands motionless, its long legs rooted, its eyes sharp. In the distance, children laugh, their voices faint. The air smells of earth, of water, of smoke. You breathe slowly, deeply. You feel the weight of beginnings, the first breath of what will one day be dynasties, empires, philosophies, wonders. But here, it is only river and village, only soil and seed, only story waiting to unfold. And so you rest, knowing that from these humble beginnings, a civilization will rise that shapes the world. The yellow river flows on, restless and steady, carrying silt through valleys and plains. Around its bends, villages grow larger, their fields broader, their people more bound together by harvest and survival. And in time, stories gather around them, stories of kings, of floods, of order born from chaos. These stories form the first dynasty remembered in Chinese tradition. You stand upon the riverbank at dawn. Mist curls above the water, soft and pale, blurring the line between earth and sky. It feels like a place where memory and myth intertwine. The Xiai exist in this space, half history, half legend, shaped as much by story as by stone. Their tale begins with water. The river that gave life, also destroyed, flooding fields, sweeping away homes, drowning whole villages. The people prayed, sacrificed, built dikes and ditches, but still the waters came. The chaos of flood was more than natural. It was cosmic, a sign that the world itself lacked balance. To restore that balance was no ordinary task. And so the stories tell of Yu the Great. You walk beside him in imagination. He is not a warrior, not a conqueror, but an engineer, a leader, a man who bends earth to tame water. The floods rage, the river overflows, and Yu does not build walls to stop it. He channels it instead. With shovel and sweat, he and his people dig canals, carve ditches, guide waters back to sea. He does not block the river, he leads it, and in leading water he leads people too. The work takes years, decades even. Yu passes through villages, but does not linger. He is said to have walked past his own home 3 times without entering. So devoted was he to his task. His wife raised their child alone, watching Yu move on, driven by duty. Such is the measure of the man the stories remember, one who gave his life not for conquest but for order. At last the floods recede, the fields grow again, green with millet and rice. Villages rise from mud, people return to homes, hope rekindles. The people proclaim Yu as hero, as savior, as leader. He becomes king, and with him begins the Shire dynasty. You stand among them as they gather in great hall of packed earth and timber. Torches burn on walls, their light flickering across faces. Elders speak of Yu's deeds, of rivers guided, of floods tamed. They declare him ruler not by sword but by service, not by fear but by respect. A dynasty begins, born of water and will. The Xia dynasty, as remembered, is a time of early kingship. Yu is followed by his son Qi, the first to inherit rule by blood rather than merit. And so begins the pattern of dynasty power, passed through family, order, tied to lineage. The Xia are remembered as 12, maybe 17 kings, ruling for centuries, each one carrying the weight of Yu's legacy, each one measured against his greatness. You walk through a Xia settlement. Houses rise larger now, walls thicker, fields broader, bronze begins to appear. Small tools, ornaments, weapons glimmering faintly in firelight. The sound of casting fills the air. Furnaces roaring, molds smoking, jade still gleams, carved with care, laid in graves beside the honored dead. Ritual grows stronger, drums beat in ceremonies. Ancestors are venerated, shamans chant beneath the stars. In the center of it all is kingship. The Xie kings are remembered as rulers who commanded labor, led armies, guided rituals. They are both leaders and mediators, standing between heaven and earth, between ancestors and living. They are judged not only by strength, but by virtue, whether they hold the mandate of heaven, though that phrase will come later, in Zhou times. For now, the idea is seed, that rule is justified by balance, by harmony, by service to cosmic order. And yet, decline follows, as always. The stories say the Xia kings grew indulgent, cruel, careless. They drank too much wine, demanded too many taxes, forgot the labor of their people. Floods returned, rebellions rose, faith faltered, and so the last of the Xia, remembered as Jie, fell into corruption. He built palaces too vast, demanded pleasures too great, oppressed his people too harshly. Heaven turned its face away, and rebellion grew. You hear the whispers of discontent in village courtyards. Farmers mutter of endless labor, artisans grumble of heavy demands. Priests murmur that ancestors frown. The balance you had built dissolves. And when balance dissolves, dynasty cannot endure. In time, another rises to challenge Xia. The Shang, stronger and sharper, overthrow the last Xia king. Jie flees, is defeated, or vanishes into myth. And with his fall, the Xia end, not in flames, not in glory, but in memory. You sit by the river at night. The stars spread wide above. The water glimmers, silver, its current soft in moonlight. You think of Yu, walking past his home 3 times, devoting life to river, to people, to order. You think of the kings who followed, some holding his example, others forgetting. You think of how fragile balance is, how quickly harmony becomes arrogance, how swiftly service becomes indulgence. The Xia are not fully history. Archaeologists search for traces, foundations of walls, bones of kings, tools of bronze. Some claim to see them in early Tu culture, their palaces and tombs hints of dynasty. Others say they are myth, legend woven to explain beginnings. Perhaps both are true. Perhaps myth and history meet here, in the soft mist above the river, in the memory of floods, in the name of Yu. For every civilization seeks its dawn, its first story, its first king. For China, that story is Xia. Whether myth or truth, it is foundation water-tamed, order-born, dynasty begun. You close your eyes, listening to rivers hum. The story of Xia drifts like mist, half seen, half felt, yet present. It whispers of beginnings, of lessons, of the fragile thread between service and pride. And as mist fades into dawn, the Shang wait beyond, their bronze gleaming, their drums ready, their rule rising. The mists of the Xia fade into story, and out of that story rises a dynasty whose traces can still be touched, still be read, still be weighed in the hands of archaeologists. The Shang, where the Xia linger between myth and memory. The Shang stand firm in history. Their bones are carved, their bronze gleams, Their cities leave traces beneath the earth. You arrive in the valley of the Yellow River again, but the villages are larger now, more organized, more intricate. Earthen walls surround cities, broad ditches defend them. Palaces rise of timber and packed soil. Smoke curls from workshops. The ring of hammers echoes, furnaces roar. Bronze defines this age, shaped into weapons, into vessels, into symbols of power that gleam in firelight. Step into a workshop. The air is hot, thick with smoke and sparks. Workers move quickly, sweat darkening their tunics. They pour molten bronze into clay molds, the liquid glowing orange, flowing like a river of fire. When it cools, the mold is broken, and out comes a vessel, its surface alive with intricate designs, totem masks with staring eyes, and curling horns, lines and patterns that seem both decorative and mysterious. These are not merely cups or tools, they are sacred, used in rituals, in offerings to ancestors and gods. In battle, bronze changes everything. Warriors carry bronze-tipped spears, axes with sharpened edges, knives strong and gleaming. Chariots roll across fields, pulled by horses, their wheels biting into earth, their riders armed with bows and lances. The Shang armies are feared, their power sharpened by metal that shines harder than stone, faster than bone. But bronze is more than weapon. It is language. The vessels of Shang are heavy with meaning, used to hold wine and grain in rituals, to feed not the living but the dead. The Shang kings rule not only in life, but in death's shadow. Ancestors are worshipped with offerings, their spirits invoked in every decision. To displease them is to risk disaster, to honor them is to ensure prosperity. You walk into a temple courtyard. The air is heavy with incense, drums beat slow, voices chant in low rhythm, priests lift bronze vessels, pour wine into earth, scatter millet upon altars. They bow before tablets carved with names of ancestors, calling upon them for guidance. Kings kneel too, their power tied not only to soldiers, but to spirits. Every law, every war, every harvest is consulted through ritual. The Shang leave behind their questions, literally carved into bone. Oracle bones. They are called the shoulder blades of oxen, the shells of turtles. Into them scribes carve questions. Will the harvest be good? Will the king's wife bear a son? Will we win the battle? The bones are then heated until they crack. The priests read the cracks, their lines and shapes speaking answers from ancestors and gods. The scribes then carve the answers onto the bone itself, along with the result. These are the first known Chinese writings. Fragile lines pressed into bone and shell, carrying the voices of kings and priests across time. You hold one in your hand. Its surface is rough, its cracks jagged, but the characters carved upon it are clear, ancient yet familiar, the ancestors of modern Chinese script. Each line is more than word, it is prayer, decision, memory. To read them is to hear voices from 3,000 years ago. Step into a Shang city, and you see life in its rhythm. Farmers work fields of millet and rice, bending in sun, their hoes biting earth. Artisans craft pottery, weave cloth, carve jade into ornaments. Nobles ride in chariots, their robes fine, their ornaments heavy. Slaves labor under command, captured in wars, bound to serve. The city is hierarchy, clear and sharp, king at top, nobles beneath, artisans and farmers below, slaves at bottom, each role bound by duty, each life tied to dynasty. The king rules not only as man but as mediator between heaven, earth and ancestors. His palace rises high, its halls broad, its altars many. He leads rituals, commands armies, governs land. Around him are nobles, warlords loyal but ambitious, each ruling their own lands, each owing tribute and service. Power flows outward like river channels, broadest at center, narrowing as it spreads. Yet the Shang kings are not eternal. They too fall into indulgence, into cruelty. Some rule with care, honoring ancestors, guiding people. Others sink into wine and pleasure, demanding more from peasants, ignoring floods, squandering strength. The last Shang king, remembered as Zhou Xin, becomes symbol of excess, his palace filled with indulgence, his people burdened with taxes, his ears deaf to warnings. You walk through his court, and you hear music loud, laughter sharp, the clatter of feasts endless. Bronze vessels pour wine, dancers move in torchlight, servants hurry with trays of meat and fruit. Outside, peasants toil, their backs bent, their stomachs empty, the balance frays. Ancestors frown, nobles whisper rebellion. And rebellion comes. To the west, a new power rises. The Zhou. They speak of heaven's will, of virtue lost, of mandate withdrawn. They march with armies. They rally nobles. They claim Shang's fall is not conquest, but justice. The last Shang king dies in flames. His palace consumed, his dynasty ended. The Zhou rise, and with them, a new idea, the mandate of heaven. You stand among ruins of a Shang city. The walls crumble, the bones lie buried, the bronze vessels tarnish in earth. Yet the echoes remain. The characters carved in oracle bones will become script enduring for millennia. The masks on bronze vessels will stare from museum glass centuries later. The rituals of ancestors will shape culture long after Shang's fall. The Shang are gone, but they remain in memory, in language, in spirit. Bronze and bone carry them still, whispering of kings and priests, of ancestors and gods, of a people who saw power not only in sword but in ritual, not only in conquest but in reverence. And you walk onward into the Zhou, where heaven itself will claim to choose kings, where power will be measured not only by strength but by virtue. The Shang are gone, their bronze vessels are overturned, their temples emptied, their king fallen. In their place rise the Zhou, a people from the West who carry not only armies but an idea, a story that will echo through centuries, shaping the very way China understands power. It is the story of heaven, of its mandate, of the right to rule. You walk into a Zhou camp on the eve of their triumph. Fires glow across the field, banners ripple in wind, warriors sharpen blades. Yet in the center, priests lift their hands to sky, chanting, their voices low and steady. They call upon heaven, not upon ancestors alone, but upon something higher, greater, endless. They speak of Tian, the sky, the order above all, impartial and vast. From this night forward, kings will claim not only bloodline but cosmic approval. The Zhou justify their rebellion with words as sharp as swords. They say the Shang lost virtue, that their kings fell into cruelty, indulgence, neglect. They say heaven turned away, withdrawing its favor. They say their conquest is not ambition but duty to restore harmony, to realign earth with sky. This, they proclaim, is the mandate of heaven. You hear the phrase whispered in tents, spoken in markets, carved into memory. The idea is powerful, almost dangerous, that no dynasty is eternal, that power depends not on blood alone, but on moral order. A king may rise, but if he becomes cruel, careless, unjust, heaven may withdraw its mandate. Another may claim it, another may rise in his place. The cycle begins. Order, decline, fall, renewal. The story of China is set. Step into a Zhou city. It is simpler than the Shang capitals, but broader, more organized. Earthen walls enclose markets where farmers trade grain, artisans trade tools, merchants trade horses and bronze. Nobles build halls of timber, their roofs heavy with thatch, their courtyards alive with servants. Palaces rise not as towers but as sprawling compounds, each chamber leading to another, each hall dedicated to ritual. The Zhou kings rule with a system of feudal bonds. They cannot hold all land directly, so they grant territories to relatives, allies, nobles. Each lord governs his domain, collects taxes, raises soldiers, and owes loyalty to the king. It is chain of duty, fragile, but effective, at least at first. Power flows outward, yet always points back to the Zhou throne, the son of heaven, mediator between sky and earth. Ritual becomes order's foundation. The Zhou build altars of earth and wood, where kings sacrifice to heaven itself. They still honor ancestors, but now they lift their gaze higher. They burn offerings to sky, pour wine upon ground, slaughter oxen beneath stars. The king bows not only to spirits of past, but to vastness of heaven. His virtue is judged not only by people but by cosmos. You stand in a temple courtyard at dusk. The air is thick with smoke, the ground damp with poured wine. Priests chant hymns to heaven, their voices slow, steady, rising into twilight. The king kneels, his robes sweeping earth, his hands lifted. He prays not for conquest alone, but for harmony, for balance, for the mandate to endure. Above, the stars spread wide, silent and endless. But beyond ritual, life continues in rhythm. Farmers bend in fields of millet and rice. Their hands steady, their bodies weary. Iron tools begin to appear, harder than bronze, sharper, stronger. The soil yields more, the harvest grows larger, the population swells, villages expand, roads stretch, markets hum. The Zhou world is bigger, more connected, more alive. Artisans carve jade still, smooth and shining, symbols of virtue, of purity. They craft bronze vessels, simpler now, less ornate than Sheng, but still heavy with meaning. They weave silk, its threads fine, its sheen soft, garments for nobles shimmering in sunlight. They carve wood into chariots, paint walls with bright pigments, shape drums that boom in rituals. Philosophy stirs here too, though it will bloom fully later. In Zhou times, seeds are planted. Questions of virtue, of order, of duty. If heaven grants mandate, what must a king do to keep it? If rulers fall by cruelty, what keeps them from arrogance? These questions circle, shaping thought, waiting to emerge in times of turmoil. Yet, already cracks appear. The feudal system spreads power too wide, nobles too strong. They build their own armies, their own halls, their own pride. They bow to Zhou king in ritual, but in heart, they see themselves as rulers. The balance phrase. You walk through a noble's hall, and you see it. Armor polished, soldiers trained, taxes collected. The lord bows to king's envoy, but his smile is thin, his words measured. He obeys, but he remembers the mandate of heaven too. If kings may lose it, why not he who claims it next? The Zhou dynasty begins to split. Central power weakening, local power rising. Wars flare, lords clash, alliances shift. The dynasty does not fall yet, but the seed of division is sown, and still, the mandate of heaven lingers. It justifies Zhou's rise, and it will justify their decline. It explains order, and it explains collapse. It gives kings power, but it gives people reason to judge them. It is fragile, yet enduring. It is story, yet law. You stand upon a hill, overlooking Zhou lands at twilight. Villages glow faint with firelight. Fields stretch broad, rivers shimmer silver. The world is larger now, more complex, more fragile. The kings call themselves sons of heaven, but you feel the truth. They are bound as much as they are blessed. Their mandate is gift, but gift that may be taken away. The wind shifts, the stars brighten, the river hums low, and the story of China flows forward, toward feudal lords, toward rival states, toward a time when unity fractures and philosophy blooms. For now, the Zhou still rule, but already the world prepares for its next transformation. The Zhou kings still call themselves sons of heaven. They still bow at altars, burn offerings, lift their prayers skyward. Their rituals remain steady, their words unchanged. But beneath the surface, power is shifting. The land has grown too wide, the nobles too strong, the bonds of loyalty too thin. What began as harmony begins to fracture. You walk into the Zhou court. The king sits upon his throne, his robe embroidered with dragons, his crown heavy with jade beads. Envoys kneel, bearing gifts of bronze, jade, horses, grain. They speak the words of loyalty, but their eyes glance sideways, cautious, calculating. Their voices hold reverence, but also distance. The king listens, nods, but behind him his guards shift uneasily. Everyone knows the truth. The nobles bow in ritual, but rule in practice. Step into a noble's domain. His hall rises broad, its pillars carved, its courtyard alive with retainers. Soldiers train in the yard, their spears flashing, their voices shouting in rhythm. Farmers work fields not for the Zhou king, but for their local lord, paying taxes in grain and labor. Blacksmiths hammer iron into plowshares, into swords, into arrowheads. The noble feasts in his hall, his table filled with roasted meat and strong wine, his poets singing his glory. He sends tribute to Zhou, but his heart is his own. This is the age of feudal lords, when China becomes a patchwork of states, each with its own court, its own army, its own ambition. The Zhou kings remain in name, but their reach shrinks. The world grows louder, sharper, more fractured. You walk through the countryside, and you see it. Villages once simple now live under banners of competing lords. Soldiers march along roads, their armor clinking, their banners snapping in wind. Farmers look up, nervous, as armies pass. Merchants weigh coins carefully, aware that borders shift quickly, taxes change often. Priests pray not only for heaven's favor, but for protection from war. Yet, out of this chaos grows brilliance. Each state, competing with others, strives to strengthen itself. Some focus on agriculture, improving tools, digging deeper canals, irrigating broader fields. Harvests grow larger, populations swell. Others focus on war, perfecting iron weapons, training soldiers, building walls. Their armies grow sharper, their tactics more cunning. Competition breeds progress, even as it breeds danger. Step into a city of this age. Its walls are higher, its gates stronger, its streets busier. Markets overflow with goods, grain from fertile fields, bronze from workshops, jade from distant mines, silk shimmering fine. Merchants shout prices, children dart between stalls, musicians play flutes and drums. Yet soldiers patrol too, their hands firm on spears, their eyes watchful. The city hums with life, but beneath it beats tension. In halls of nobles, debates rage. Advisors argue over taxes, over alliances, over war. Should they ally with neighbors, or conquer them? Should they focus on farming, or weapons? Should they honor the Zhou king, or ignore him? The nobles sip wine, stroke their beards, weigh their options. The mandate of heaven lingers in memory, but few feel its weight. Power now is measured in soldiers, in harvests, in walls. And yet, even as lords feud, culture deepens. Music thrives, drums pound in rituals, bells chime in ceremonies, flutes sing in feasts. Poets craft hymns of loyalty, of war, of longing. Dancers perform in courtyards, their sleeves flowing, their steps precise. Artisans carve bronze vessels still, their designs sharper, their lines more elegant. Jade remains sacred, carved into discs and ornaments, laid in graves as symbol of eternity. Religion shifts too. Ancestor worship continues, but ideas of heaven deepen. People begin to see heaven not only as power that grants mandate, but as moral force, watching over justice, rewarding virtue, punishing vice. Kings are no longer divine by birth. They must prove themselves through virtue, through order. It is fragile, but it changes how people think of rule. And philosophy begins to stir. Thinkers watch the chaos of rival states, the ambition of lords, the suffering of farmers. They ask, what is the right way to rule? What makes order last? What brings harmony between people and heaven? Their answers will come in voices of Confucius, of Laozi, of others yet unborn. But the questions begin here, in this age of lords, when the need for wisdom is sharpest. You walk among the people. A farmer bends in field, his back aching, his stomach empty, his taxes heavy. He prays that his Lord will be just, that his harvest will feed his family, that war will not trample his land. A soldier sharpens his blade, his eyes weary, knowing tomorrow he may march to war, not for himself, but for noble's ambition. A merchant counts coins, wary of sudden changes in law, in borders, in taxes. Each life small, each life fragile, yet each life bound to currents of history. The Zhou kings, in their shrinking court, still perform rituals. They still sacrifice oxen to heaven, still bow before altars, still call themselves sons of heaven, but their voices carry less weight. their power less reach. They are shadows of what they once were, kings in name, not in fact. The lords rule now. The age of states has begun. You climb a hill at twilight, looking down at the patchwork of lands below. Fires flicker in villages. Torches glow on city walls. Banners ripple in wind. Each light is a state, small or large, strong or weak. Each one believes itself destined to endure. Each one eyes its neighbors with suspicion. Together they form a world louder, busier, more dangerous than ever before. And as night deepens, you hear drums in distance, horns blowing, soldiers marching. War has not yet consumed all, but its shadow grows. Out of this age of lords, out of this rivalry of states, will come an era of endless conflict, and alongside it, an era of endless thought. For when order breaks, wisdom seeks to mend it. The river flows still, steady and broad, carrying silt, carrying life, carrying memory. It has seen Shah, it has seen Shang, it has seen Zhou, it will see more still. For this is only the middle of the story, and the dynasties of China are just beginning their long march through time. The land is fractured. Lords rule like kings in their own states. Armies march, fields burn, and the Zhou king is little more than a figurehead. Out of this chaos, voices rise, not with swords, but with words. They are teachers, wanderers, philosophers, each carrying scrolls instead of spears, ideas instead of armies. Together they will be remembered as the 100 schools of thought. Their questions echo as loudly as any battle drum, their answers shaping not only their time but the centuries to come. You walk along a dusty road, travelers pass, soldiers in armor, farmers carrying baskets, merchants leading donkeys, and there among them you see a man in plain robes, carrying no weapon, only words. His name is Confucius. Confucius lives in an age of turmoil, of lords who neglect their people, of rulers who rule for power, not virtue. He looks at the chaos and asks, what makes a good society? How should rulers behave? How should children treat parents? Ministers treat kings? People treat one another? He answers not with force but with ethics. He speaks of Ren, benevolence, humanity, kindness. He speaks of leash ritual, propriety, respect. He says that harmony begins in family, that a child should honor parent, a subject should honor ruler, a ruler should act as father to people. He teaches that virtue, not violence, binds society together. You sit beneath a tree as he speaks. His voice is calm, steady, thoughtful. Students gather around him, writing his words on bamboo slips, nodding, questioning, learning. He tells them that rulers must lead by example, that if a king is virtuous, his people will follow. He warns that cruelty breeds rebellion, arrogance breeds downfall. He does not promise conquest, only harmony. Yet his words plant seeds that will grow for centuries. But Confucius is not the only voice. Others see the world differently. Walk farther along the road, into mountains where mists drift and pines cling to cliffs. Here lives Laozi, the old master, the sage of the Tao. He does not teach order through rules, but through harmony with nature. He says the world has a way, the Tao, vast, eternal, flowing like water. To live well is to align with it, to move like a river, soft yet unstoppable. He warns against too many laws, too much force. He says the best ruler rules least, letting people live simply naturally. You sit with him in a quiet hut. He pours tea, his hands steady, his eyes calm. He speaks slowly, as if each word must breathe. He says, the softest thing in the world overcomes the hardest. Water wears down stone, not by force, but by persistence. He tells you that to grasp tightly is to lose, to yield is to endure. His words are paradox, but also peace. In his thought, power is not in conquest, but in stillness. Others join the chorus. Mazi, a thinker from humble birth, rejects the extravagance of nobles. He says rulers waste resources on music, on feasts, on luxury, while people suffer. He argues for simplicity, for utility, for universal love. He insists that all people are equal before heaven, that care should not stop at family or state. but extend to all. His students, the Mohists, march from state to state, living fortifications, advising rulers, always preaching equality and peace. And then there are the legalists. They look at the chaos of states and scoff at virtue, scoff at harmony, scoff at love. They say people are selfish by nature, that only strict laws and harsh punishments keep order. They call for rulers to be strong, for laws to be clear, for obedience to be absolute. In their vision there is no room for softness, only discipline. Their words will one day shape the Qin who will unify China with iron grip. You walk through cities, and you hear debates in markets, in courts, in courtyards. Scholars argue over virtue and law, over love and nature, over music and war. Some wander from state to state, offering their ideas to lords hungry for advantage. Some write on bamboo slips, their words carried in scrolls. The air hums with thought, with philosophy born from turmoil. For when swords clash, wisdom sharpens. When lords fail, thinkers rise. Each school offers vision. Each vision reflects the age. Confucians dream of order through virtue. Taoists dream of harmony through stillness. Mohists dream of equality through love. Legalists dream of strength through law. Each one is answer. Each one is question. You stand in a Zhou court. A lord listens as Confucian scholar speaks of virtue. Then as legalist argues for law, then as Taoist whispers of stillness. The lord strokes his beard weighing words. Which path will he choose? His choice will shape his state, his people, his future. Yet no path is simple. In the streets, ordinary people listen too. A farmer hears Confucius and nods, wishing for ruler who acts as father. A merchant hears Modsai and smiles, hoping for fairness. A soldier hears legalists and frowns, knowing punishments await. A poet hears Taoists and dreams of mountains, of rivers, of quiet. Ideas trickle down, shaping lives as much as laws do. And in all of it, the mandate of heaven lingers. Scholars argue what it means, how rulers may keep it, how they may lose it. They say virtue holds it, cruelty loses it, harmony sustains it, but each school defines virtue differently, harmony differently, order differently. The debate is endless, and from its endlessness, culture grows. You stand at a riverbank at night. The stars spread wide, the water flows steady, the air cool and soft. Around you echo voices. Confucius urging virtue, Laozi whispering stillness, Mozi pleading love, legalists demanding law. Each voice is strong, each voice distinct, each voice carrying truth and shadow alike. Together they form chorus of thought, the 100 schools, the great flowering of philosophy in China. Their words will outlast the states that war around them. Their scrolls will survive kings and dynasties. Their teachings will shape emperors, peasants, poets, monks. They will be read, debated, memorized for thousands of years. Out of chaos, wisdom is born. Out of war, philosophy grows. And so you rest, knowing that even in turmoil, even in division, humanity seeks meaning, seeks order, seeks truth. The 100 schools speak still, their echoes steady, their wisdom flowing like river through time. The voices of the philosophers rise, but the clash of swords grows louder still. The Zhou king's power is a shadow, his throne more symbol than strength. Across the land, 7 great states rise above the rest. Qi, Chu, Yan, Han, Zhao, Wei, and Qin. Each one powerful, each one ambitious, each one unwilling to bow. This is the warring states period, when China becomes battlefield without end, when war becomes rhythm of life. You stand on a hill, overlooking a plain. Armies gather below, their banners snapping in the wind. Chariots roll forward, their wheels creaking, their horses snorting, their riders steady. Infantry march in ranks, shields glinting, spears sharp. Drums pound, horns blare, voices shout. The ground trembles beneath the weight of thousands of feet. War is no longer the clash of small bands. It is the grinding of nations, the struggle of states with resources vast, ambitions endless. Iron shapes the battlefield. Spears are longer, sharper, stronger. Swords gleam in sunlight, their edges keen, their handles bound in leather. Crossbows appear simple machines of wood and sinew, but deadly. A bolt fired from one pierces armor, strikes from distance, changes war itself. Soldiers drill in formations, learning to move as one, to advance, to retreat, to wheel and strike with precision. Generals study strategy, mapping fields, counting supplies, weighing deception as much as force. You walk through a camp at night. Fires glow, smoke drifts. Men sit sharpening blades, mending armor, eating bowls of millet. Some laugh, some sing, some sit silent, their eyes distant. They know tomorrow may bring death, yet they march still. War is not choice now, it is survival. If their state does not fight, it will fall. The people suffer, fields are trampled, harvests burned, villages emptied. Farmers are conscripted, leaving families behind, leaving children to toil alone. Taxes grow heavier, demands endless. The land feeds armies first, people second. Mothers weep as sons are taken, wives weep as husbands march. Children cry as fathers vanish. War consumes not only battlefields, but homes, hearts, lives. Yet war also breeds cunning. Strategies deepen. Generals write treatises, their words preserved, their wisdom studied. The art of war, attributed to Sun Tzu, emerges in this age. It teaches that war is not only force, but mind, that the greatest victory is one won without battle, that deception is weapon sharper than sword, that knowing oneself and one's enemy is key to survival. His words echo through centuries, his wisdom applied far beyond the fields of China. You sit by a general's tent as he reads from bamboo slips. His face is calm, his voice low. All warfare is based on deception, he says. His officers nod, their eyes glimmering. He tells them to strike where enemy is weak, to appear strong when weak, to appear near when far. He says to win without fighting is art of mastery. His words are cool as night, sharp as steel. Inside cities, walls grow higher, moats deeper, gates stronger. Fortifications spread like scars across land. Siege engines appear, battering rams, ladders, towers. Defenders hurl stones, pour boiling water, loose arrows. War is not swift, but grinding, drawn out, endless. Cities fall not in days but in months, in years, their people starving, their streets burning, their survivors enslaved. And yet, even in war, culture endures. Scholars still debate, poets still write, musicians still play. A noble hosts a feast in candlelit hall, flutes singing, dancers moving, even as armies march beyond his walls. A child learns characters by lamplight, carving words into bamboo slips, even as his father fights on distant field. The land bleeds, but life persists. The 7 states shift in power. Kree grows wealthy from trade, its markets bustling, its thinkers many. Shu expands in the south, rich in land and culture, its rulers proud. Shao and Wei rise in the north, their armies strong, their cavalry fierce. Yan guards the northeast, looking toward steppes. Han lies central, struggling but enduring. And Qin waits in the west, quiet but sharp, building strength with discipline and law. You walk through Qin's lands. Their fields are ordered, their soldiers drilled, their laws strict. The people work hard, their lives harsh, but their state grows strong. The rulers of Qin embrace legalist thought, believing discipline, law, and punishment forge power. While others waver, Qin focuses. While others indulge, Qin sharpens. In time, it will be Qin who unites all, but for now it waits, preparing. The Warring States is age of heroes as well as horrors. Generals become legends, their battles remembered, their strategies admired. Ministers become famous for cunning words, persuading lords to ally, to betray, to fight. Assassins slip through shadows, striking at kings, their names whispered in fear and awe. Stories of loyalty and betrayal, of courage and cunning, spread across land, sung by poets, remembered by scribes. But above all, it is age of exhaustion. Decades pass, generations born into war, never knowing peace. The people long for unity, for order, for end to endless struggle. They whisper of heaven's mandate, of ruler who might restore harmony, of dynasty that might end chaos. They do not know yet that Qin waits, that empire stirs, that unification is near. You stand upon a battlefield at dusk. Smoke drifts low, bodies lie scattered, banners torn, armor broken. Ravens circle overhead, their cries harsh. The earth is scarred, the air heavy, yet beyond, life goes on. Farmers return to fields, merchants reopen stalls, children play in dust. Even in ruin, the land breathes. Even in chaos, the people endure. The warring states are not eternal, they grind on, but not forever. Out of their endless conflict will rise something new, something greater. A unification under one ruler, one state, one name, Qin. But before that, war must run its course. States must rise and fall. People must endure. The river flows on, silent witness. It has seen Shai, Shang, Zhou. It has seen lords rise. Philosophers speak. Armies clash. It will see empire too, and its waters will carry story onward. For history, like river, never ceases. It only changes its course. The 7 states grind against one another like stones in a mill. Years stretch into decades, wars consume harvest after harvest, and people whisper of an end to chaos. Slowly, steadily, one state begins to rise above the rest. In the west, hardened by mountains, disciplined by law, sharpened by necessity, stands Qin. You walk into Qin's lands, and the air feels different. Life is harsher here, the soil stonier, the winters colder. The people are lean, their hands calloused, their eyes steady. They live under strict laws, their rulers demanding, their punishments severe. Yet there is order, where elsewhere there is chaos. Fields are well tended, roads well kept, soldiers well trained. The rulers of Qin embrace legalist thought. They believe people are not naturally virtuous, not guided by benevolence or harmony, but driven by self-interest. To keep order, they say, requires clear laws, strict rewards, and harsh punishments. It is discipline, not morality, that makes a state strong. And so Qin sharpens itself into tool of conquest. Step into a Qin court. The hall is plain, its beams thick, its pillars sturdy, its walls unadorned. No musicians play, no dancers sway, no feasts of extravagance fill the tables. Instead, ministers speak of agriculture, of war, of law. The ruler listens, his face stern, his eyes sharp. He cares not for poetry or ritual, but for strength, for stability, for survival. Reforms shape Qin's rise. Ministers like Shang Yang create systems where land is measured, taxes enforced, soldiers rewarded for merit rather than birth. A farmer who yields grain receives honor. A soldier who kills in battle gains rank. Nobles who fail lose privilege. The old order of aristocracy weakens, replaced by merit and law. Qin becomes not only disciplined, but efficient. You walk through countryside, and you see the change. Farmers till neatly divided plots, their harvest measured, their taxes collected. Villages are organized, their families registered, their duties assigned. Soldiers march in steady ranks, their armor uniform, their weapons sharp. The system is strict, the punishments severe, but the state grows strong. In war, Qin is relentless. Its armies drill constantly, their formations precise, their discipline unwavering. They wield crossbows in deadly volleys, their bolts piercing shields, their accuracy feared. They ride chariots, then cavalry, swift and sharp. They besiege cities with rams and towers, their engineers skilled, their persistence unmatched. One by one, rival states falter before Qin's strength. Yet Qin's rise is not only by sword, it is by cunning. Diplomats weave alliances, tricking states into fighting one another, weakening themselves while Qin waits. When rivals are exhausted, Qin strikes, swift and sure. Ministers plot, generals plan. Kings decide with cold precision. You walk into a conquered city. The walls are scarred, the gates broken, the streets quiet. Qin soldiers march through, their discipline tight, their plunder controlled. The city is not burned, its people not slaughtered, unless they resist. Those who submit are absorbed, their land measured, their laws rewritten, their soldiers folded into Qin's ranks. Each conquest does not just expand territory, it strengthens Qin further. The philosophy behind it is stark. The legalists say a ruler must be feared more than loved, that law must be iron, that people must obey without question. They scoff at Confucius, at virtue and benevolence. They laugh at Taoists, at stillness and yielding. They dismiss Mohists, at universal love. They believe only order through law, strength through fear, endurance through discipline. And in their world of endless war, their vision proves effective. But it is costly too. The people labor under heavy burdens, their freedom curtailed, their voices silenced. Farmers must farm, soldiers must fight, workers must build. Disobedience is punished swiftly, often with death. There is little joy, little softness. Qin is strong, but also hard, unbending, merciless. You stand in a Qin workshop, and you see hundreds of laborers shaping bricks, casting bronze, forging iron. Overseers watch with sharp eyes, their whips ready. The air is thick with smoke, the ground with sweat. The workers bend to task, knowing punishment awaits any who falter. Their labor feeds the machine of empire, their hands building strength that will one day conquer all. And yet, for all its severity, Qin's vision is clear. While other states waver, indulging in luxury, debating philosophy, seeking balance, Qin focuses on one goal: unification. To end chaos, to bring all under one rule, to establish empire. Its rulers see themselves as instruments of destiny, their discipline the price of peace. Years pass, wars grind on, states weaken. Qin presses harder, striking at Zhao, at Han, at Wei, at Chu. Victories mount, lands expand, rivals dwindle. The dream of unity, once distant, now nears. You stand on a battlefield after Qin's triumph. The plain is littered with broken weapons, fallen banners, abandoned armor. Qin soldiers march forward, their ranks unbroken, their flags rising. Behind them scribes record conquests. Ministers plan new laws, rulers calculate next strike. The machine grinds on, relentless, unstoppable. In time, Qin will sweep across all China, uniting states beneath one name, one ruler, one law. Its methods harsh, its vision clear, its rise inevitable. But even now, as wars rage, the shadow of empire falls across land. The Yellow River flows on, its waters glimmering gold, carrying silt, carrying memory. It has seen myth and bronze, ritual and war. Now, it sees law and discipline, harsh and unbending. The story of China moves forward, toward unification, toward empire, toward the first emperor who will dream of immortality itself. And you walk with it, step by step through dust and time, into the heart of Qin. The word itself is new, created to match his ambition. He is not content to rule a state, he must rule an empire. He calls himself the first emperor, the beginning of a line that will last for 10,000 generations. His claim is vast, his vision immense. The wars of centuries end, not with peace, but with conquest. One state remains standing, its armies unbroken, its rulers relentless. Qin. And from Qin rises a figure who will shape history like no other before him. His name is Ying Zheng, but the world will remember him as Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China. You walk into his court at Xianyang, the capital of Qin. The hall is vast, its beams towering, its courtyards filled with guards in armor, black and bronze. Ministers kneel, generals bow, scribes unroll bamboo slips. At the center sits the ruler himself. His gaze is sharp, his robes heavy, his presence unyielding. He has conquered the 6 rival states. He has united China under one banner, one law, one throne, and with triumph, he takes a new title, no longer king, but Huangdi, emperor. You step into the empire he builds. Roads spread across the land, straight and broad, connecting conquered states. Canals are dug, rivers harnessed, trade quickened, weights and measures are standardized. No longer does each state count differently. Coins are cast in uniform shape, round with square holes, fitting in string and pouch alike. Written characters are unified, their forms simplified, their lines standardized. What was once patchwork is now fabric, woven tightly by Qin's decree. Yet, Qin Shi Huang's vision stretches beyond Earth into eternity. He dreams of immortality, of ruling not for one lifetime, but forever. He sends envoys across seas, searching for elixirs of life, for herbs of immortality, for magicians who promise eternal youth. He swallows potions, trusts in mercury and gold, believing alchemy might cheat death. His body weakens even as his ambition strengthens, but he refuses to surrender. He is emperor, and he will not die. It is not only convenience, it is control. By unifying measures, currency, writing, the emperor makes his rule reach every village, every market, every hand. The empire is vast, but his laws are everywhere. But his works are immense. He commands walls, built along the northern frontier, linking old fortifications into vast barrier. The early Great Wall, soldiers and laborers toil by thousands, dragging earth, stacking stone, building watchtowers across mountains and deserts. It is not yet the stone wall of later centuries, but it stretches far, guarding against raiders from steppes. Its length is measured not only in but in lives, for many perish in the labor. Yet it endures as symbol of unity, of power, of Qin's reach. His rule is harsh. Laws are iron, punishments brutal. Scholars who defy him are silenced. Books not aligned with Qin's vision are burned. He fears dissent, and so he crushes it. He fears division, and so he unifies by force. For him, empire must endure, and for empire to endure, it must bend to his will. And beneath the earth he prepares another monument. In fields near his capital, pits are dug, chambers carved, soldiers shaped from clay, thousands of terracotta warriors are cast, each one unique, each one armed, each one standing guard in silence. Generals, infantry, archers, chariots, all lined in rows, painted bright, though time will fade their colors. They are army for eternity, guardians of the emperor's tomb. No other ruler has dreamed so vast, no other ruler has built so grand. You walk among them in imagination. Their faces stare ahead, calm, resolute. Their armor is detailed, their hands poised, their ranks unbroken. They do not march, yet they endure, waiting in earth for millennia. They are not alive, yet they speak of ambition, of power, of fear of death. Each one is voice of empire, silent but eternal. Qin Shi Huang himself grows restless. He travels across empire, inspecting roads, canals, cities. He listens to ministers, punishes disobedience, seeks elixirs. He believes he has created unity that will last forever. Yet, cracks appear. His laws are too harsh, his people too burdened, his ministers too fearful. Rebellion stirs, even as monuments rise. You walk through a village. Farmers labor under heavy taxes, building walls, carrying stone, forging weapons. Their faces are weary, their backs bent, their voices quiet. They obey, but beneath obedience lies resentment. They have endured centuries of war, and now peace feels like another kind of weight. Unity has come, but at terrible cost. The Qin dynasty will not last long. Only 15 years after unification, rebellion will tear it apart. Yet its legacy endures. It creates idea of empire, of China as one land under one ruler. It standardizes measures, currency, writing. It builds walls, roads, monuments. It leaves behind tomb that astonishes world, wall that stretches across mountains, name that becomes the name of nation itself. China, from Qin. Still, Qin Shi Huang dreams. He rides in procession, his chariot drawn by horses strong and swift, his guards marching in rows, his banners fluttering bright. People bow as he passes, dust rising, drums pounding. He is emperor, master of land, vast as horizon. He believes himself eternal. But even emperors cannot outrun death. In 210 BCE, on a journey to the east, he dies suddenly, his dream of immortality unfulfilled. His ministers hide the news, fearing unrest, transporting his body secretly back to capital. They place him in his vast tomb, beneath hills of earth, surrounded by rivers of mercury, guarded by terracotta army. His reign ends, but his ambition lingers, carved into stone, sealed in earth. You stand at his tomb in silence. The earth above is still, the chambers below alive with clay soldiers, with treasures buried, with rivers flowing in darkness. You feel the weight of ambition, of fear, of eternity sought and denied. You feel empire's birth, harsh and immense, its echo endless. And you walk onward, from Qin's unyielding grasp to Han's enduring legacy. The yellow river flows on, steady in gold, indifferent to kings, to emperors, to walls and tombs. It has seen Xia, Shang, Zhou. It has seen lords war, philosophers speak, Qin rise. It will see Han too, empire tempered by time, shaped by Confucian virtue, shining long after Qin's fall. The Qin Empire ends as swiftly as it rose. Harsh laws, crushing burdens, rebellion spreading like wildfire. Its unity collapses under its own weight. Yet from the ashes rises another dynasty, one that will endure centuries, shaping China's identity for millennia, the Han. You walk into the court of Liu Bang, a man of humble birth who becomes Gaozu, the first Han emperor. He is not the stern iron of Qin, but a pragmatist, shrewd and adaptable. He tempers law with mercy, order with care. The people, weary of Qin's severity, welcome his rule. The Han dynasty begins not in terror, but in relief, in hope of balance. Step into Han China, and you feel the difference. The roads and walls of Qin remain, but the harshness softens. Confucian thought, once dismissed, now flourishes. Scholars are honored, their wisdom sought. The emperor listens to ministers who speak of virtue, of harmony, of order through benevolence. The mandate of heaven is remembered not as fear, but as responsibility. The Han rulers present themselves, not as tyrants, but as guardians of the people. Education becomes pillar of state. Schools are established, classics studied, scholars examined. The writings of Confucius are copied, memorized, debated. The Analects become guide for officials, shaping morality as much as law. To serve in government, one must not only know law, but virtue. It is beginning of tradition that will last centuries, the scholar official, chosen by learning, guiding the state. You walk into a Han academy. Students sit in rows, bamboo slips in hand, brushes ready. The teacher recites Confucius's words. The gentleman is not a vessel, the students repeat. Their voice is steady, their face is intent. They debate meaning, they copy characters, they absorb wisdom. Outside, the empire hums. But here, minds sharpen, values root. Future officials are shaped. Yet the Han are not only scholars, they are builders, warriors, dreamers. Their empire stretches vast beyond Qin's borders. Armies march west into deserts, south into jungles, north against nomads. Generals ride in chariots, soldiers carry iron swords, crossbows hum. Campaigns are long, costly, but they expand China's influence, securing trade, spreading culture. In the capital of Chang'an, the empire's heart beats. Its walls rise tall, its avenues broad, its markets overflowing. Merchants from distant lands arrive with horses, jade, spices. Officials in silk robes stride through palaces, their hats stiff with dignity. Artisans hammer bronze, shape pottery, weave silk shimmering like water. Temples rise, bells chime, incense drifts. The city is alive with brilliance, order, and ambition. The Silk Road begins here. Caravans laden with silk, lacquer, paper, jade set out westward, across deserts and mountains. In return come horses swift and strong, glass from Rome, gems from India, ideas from beyond. The road is long, dangerous, filled with bandits and storms, but it carries China outward, connecting worlds. Through it, China becomes not isolated kingdom, but empire among empire. You walk with a caravan, the sand hot beneath your feet, the wind sharp, the camels groaning, the silk on their backs glimmers faint, even in desert sun. Traders speak many tongues, share many stories, barter goods and ideas alike. In their journey, the world grows smaller, connections tighter, cultures richer. The Han opened doors that will never fully close again. Inventions flourish too. Paper emerges, thin and smooth, lighter than bamboo slips, easier than silk. It changes everything. Records easier to keep, books easier to copy, knowledge easier to spread. Astronomy advances, with seismographs to measure the Earth's tremors, maps to track stars, calculations to predict eclipses. Medicine grows with text on herbs, on acupuncture, on balance of body and spirit. The Han are not only empire of swords, but empire of mind. Art blooms. Painters brush silk with mountains and rivers. Poets carve words of longing and loyalty. Musicians play zithers whose notes linger soft. Tombs are filled with lacquered coffins, carved figurines, silk garments, treasures for afterlife. The culture of Han is rich, layered, enduring, and always Confucian values guide. Family is sacred. Filial piety, respect for parents, devotion to ancestors. Rituals of mourning are strict, bonds of kinship unbreakable. Society is ordered like family, emperor as father, officials as elder brothers, people as children. Harmony comes from respect, from duty, from virtue. Yet the Han also struggle. The empire is vast, its burdens heavy. Rebellions rise, corruption spreads. Eunuchs gain power in court. Factions feud. Peasants weary of taxes and labor revolt in desperation. The Yellow Turban Rebellion, vast and fiery, shakes empire to its core. Armies march. Blood spills. Unity cracks. The mandate of heaven trembles once more. You walk through a village caught in rebellion. Smoke rises from fields. Soldiers march. Farmers flee. The people chant of new age, of healing, of justice. The emperor trembles in his palace. His ministers argue. His army strain. The empire holds, but barely. Still, the Han endure longer than Qin. Their brilliance shining centuries. They create identity of China itself. Language unified. Culture rooted. Confucian values spread. To this day, many call themselves Han, carrying name of dynasty that defined them. Its legacy is not only power, but identity, memory, belonging. You stand at the river's edge at night. The moon glimmers silver, the water flows gold, the stars spread wide, the air cool, the silence deep. You think of Qin's iron and Han's brilliance. You think of unity harsh and unity gentle. You think of empire born and empire enduring. The river has seen it all, and it flows still, carrying memory into future. The empire of the Han breathes with brilliance, but its heartbeat is not confined to its own walls. Roads stretch outward, rivers wind into distance, and caravans set forth across deserts and mountains. From these paths emerges something new. Connection, exchange, a road of silk and story that will link China to worlds far beyond its horizon. You step into the western gates of Chang'an, the capital. The city is alive with merchants. Their voices a chorus of bargaining. Camels kneel beneath loads of silk packed in bundles, their long lashes flicking dust from their eyes. Horses stamp, their coats gleaming, their nostrils steaming. Donkeys bray, carts creak, ropes tighten. Traders shout in many tongues, Chinese, Persian, Indian, even words carried from Rome. In markets, coins clink, spices scent the air, fabrics shimmer in sunlight. It is here the Silk Road begins. Silk is treasure beyond compare. Its threads are soft, its sheen like water, its colors bright and lasting. The West has nothing like it, and nobles across distant lands crave it. In return they send horses strong and swift, glass that catches light, gems that glitter, spices that perfume, music that sings new notes. From Chang'an to the edges of empire, silk flows outward, and with it flows China's reach. You walk with the caravan as it departs. The gates of the city close behind. The open land stretches ahead. Camels plod in slow rhythm, their hooves pressing dust into earth. Traders wrap robes tight against wind, their hats pulled low. The sun beats down, the air shimmers, and the desert looms. Crossing the Taklamakan is trial of endurance. Its sands stretch endless, its winds howl sharp. Its heat burns by day, its cold bites by night. Caravans move cautiously, guided by stars, by memory, by watchtowers. Water is precious, oases lifelines. At Dunhuang, cave shrines carved into cliffs glow with lamps, offering rest, prayer, reflection. Travelers leave paintings, inscriptions, prayers to gods of journey, hoping for safe passage across desert vast as sea. In oases like Khotan and Kashgar, cultures mingle, markets overflow with goods from many lands. Lapis from Afghanistan, wool from Central Asia, ivory from India, silk from Han, glass from Rome. Traders share not only goods but stories, beliefs, ideas. A Chinese merchant hears of lands where oceans stretch endless. A Persian hears of emperors in the east. An Indian monk speaks of Buddha, his teachings spreading with caravans. You sit by a fire in desert camp. The sky is black, stars countless, the sand cool beneath you. Around the flames, men speak in different tongues, yet laughter and trade bridge gaps. A bowl of dried fruit passes, a cup of wine, a piece of silk traded for gemstone. Here, far from cities, the world feels both vast and close, each voice carrying distance within it. Silk Road is not single road, but many branching paths across mountains, deserts, plains. To the north, routes skirt steppes where nomads ride swift horses, their bows sharp. To the south, routes climb mountains, snow blinding, paths narrow, avalanches sudden. Each route is peril, yet each carries life. Merchants risk bandits, storms, thirst, but profit beckons. Knowledge entices, curiosity drives. Ideas travel as much as goods. Buddhism journeys along the road, carried by monks and traders. Statues of Buddha appear in caves, painted in gold, seated in meditation, surrounded by lotus and flame. Texts are translated, chants spread, monasteries rise. Along the Silk Road, a faith moves east, blending with Chinese traditions, reshaping belief. Art changes too. Motifs from India, Persia, Greece appear in Chinese silk, in Buddhist murals, in bronze ornaments. Horses of Central Asia, tall and strong, transform Chinese cavalry. Music from Persia adds new instruments, lutes, drums, flutes, that sing different tones. Cuisine shifts, spices flavor dishes, grapes become wine, pomegranates sweeten palates. You stand in a Han court. The emperor listens as envoys return. One speaks of Rome, the great empire in far west, its roads vast, its army strong, its people craving silk. Another speaks of Parthia, of their horses and gems. Another of India, of its spices, its monks, its beliefs. The emperor nods, intrigued, his court buzzing with wonder. The world feels larger now, yet also closer. The Silk Road is artery of empire, but also mirror. It shows China not alone, but part of greater whole. It reveals that beyond mountains, beyond deserts, others build, trade, dream. It humbles, and it enriches, yet it is costly too. Bandits raid, storms bury caravans. Rulers demand taxes at every border. Traders grow rich, but many perish. Still, the flow does not cease. Silk is too precious, demand too great, curiosity too strong. For centuries, the Silk Road will bind east and west, carrying not only wealth but wisdom. You pause at an oasis at dusk. Lamps glow in stalls. Spices scent the air. Silk shimmers in lamplight. A monk chants softly in temple. A merchant counts coins. A child chases goat in dust. Life mingles, cultures meet. Worlds blend. You breathe in the air, part desert, part spice, part smoke. And you feel the world expanding within you. The Yellow River is far behind now. But its spirit flows in silk, in words, in travelers' steps. From its banks began a civilization. From its roads now flows a world. The Han have not only built empire, they have connected it. And through those connections, their legacy grows beyond borders, beyond time. The Silk Road stretches on, into night, into distance, into memory. Its dust carries footsteps of countless lives. Its winds carry whispers of many tongues. It is more than road. It is meeting place of worlds. The caravans move westward, carrying silk and stories. But within the Han heartland, something equally powerful stirs. Not armies, not trade, but ideas turned into tools. The empire thrives not only on law and diplomacy, but on invention, on creativity, on the spirit of innovation that transforms daily life and carries knowledge across centuries. You step into a Han workshop. The air smells of wood shavings and wet clay, of smoke from a small furnace, of ink faint and sharp. A craftsman bends over his workbench, his hands steady, his eyes intent. Before him lies a sheet thin, smooth, lighter than bamboo, easier than silk. It is paper, humble and revolutionary. Before paper, writing was heavy work. Bamboo slips tied with cord made books thick, unwieldy. Silk was smooth, but costly, reserved for the wealthy. But paper made of mulberry bark, hemp, rags, pounded and pressed into thin sheets, changes everything. It is light, cheap, abundant. Suddenly scholars can copy texts with ease, merchants can record accounts, officials can write decrees that travel far, knowledge spreads faster, wider, deeper. You hold a sheet in your hands. It rustles softly, its surface ready for brush and ink. The scholar dips his brush, writes characters that flow like rivers, smooth and graceful. His words no longer confined by weight of bamboo, no longer limited by cost of silk. They flow freely, shaping thought, preserving wisdom, spreading culture. Paper will endure, carrying stories of dynasties, poems of poets, dreams of inventors, long after empire itself fades. But paper is only one voice in chorus of invention. Step into an observatory. Astronomers stand on platforms, watching stars wheel across night. They chart constellations, calculate calendars, predict eclipses. For Han rulers, astronomy is more than curiosity. It is sign of heaven's will. If stars shift, if comets blaze, if sun darkens, it means balance is disturbed, mandate questioned. Astronomers record every change, their eyes sharp, their brushes swift. And beneath them, another invention stirs. In a quiet chamber, a bronze vessel stands, its surface smooth, its shape round. 8 dragons encircle it, each holding a small ball. Beneath their jaws, toads crouch, mouths open. Inside, a pendulum waits, sensitive, steady. When earth trembles, the pendulum shifts. A dragon releases its ball, and it drops into Toad's mouth with clang. It is seismograph, the first instrument to detect earthquakes. To the Han, it is miracle of science, a way to measure tremors invisible to eye, to sense disasters before they strike. You stand beside it as a ball drops with metallic chime. Officials gasp, scribes record, ministers bow. Far to west, an earthquake shakes, unseen, unheard, in capital, but known through instruments' wisdom. Knowledge travels faster than tremor, order steadier than earth itself. Medicine advances too. Physicians study body not only as flesh, but as balance of forces, yin and yang, hot and cold, qi flowing through channels. They test herbs, mixing roots, leaves, minerals into remedies. They prick skin with fine needles, acupuncture to ease pain, restore balance, guide energy. They write texts that gather centuries of wisdom, each page filled with drawings of plants, instructions for healing, reflections on life. Illness is not enemy to be fought, but imbalance to be restored. You visit a healer's hut. The air smells of herbs drying from rafters, their leaves brittle, their roots sharp. A patient lies on mat, his breath uneven. The healer warms a needle, presses it gently, twists it with care. The patient exhales, his tension easing. Outside, another drinks bitter brew, grimacing at taste, but trusting its cure. Medicine is not perfect, but it endures, growing with each experiment, each record, each attempt to ease suffering. Technology grows in daily life as well. Iron tools spread, plows sharp, spades sturdy, hoes efficient. Farmers dig deeper, plant broader, harvest richer. Iron sickles cut swiftly, saving time, feeding families. Water wheels turn, grinding grain, lifting water, easing labor. Canals stretch farther, linking rivers, carrying boats, moving goods. Agriculture strengthens, population grows, empire thrives. Artisans craft lacquer, glossy and smooth, coating wood in layers of resin that gleam red and black. They mold clay into tiles for roofs, bricks for walls, pottery for kitchens. They weave silk into garments finer than clouds, paint them with colors bright as blossoms. They carve jade still, smooth and cool, sacred and eternal. Beauty grows alongside utility, art flowing into life. You walk into a tomb of Han Noble. The chamber is filled with miniatures, figurines of soldiers, servants, musicians, horses. They are small but detailed, each face distinct, each posture clear. They are not merely art, they are companions for afterlife, a world carried into death. The tomb's walls are painted with scenes of daily life, banquets, hunts, dances, battles. Invention and art blend, memory preserved for eternity. Even music grows with invention. Bells are cast in sets, each tuned to precise note. Played together they create harmonies deep and rich, filling halls with resonance. Flutes sing, zithers hum, drums boom. Music becomes ritual, pleasure, symbol of harmony. To the Han, music reflects order. If it is balanced, society is balanced too. The spirit of innovation touches government as well. Census records are kept, taxes measured, laws written. The empire is vast, but order flows through paperwork, through records written on paper, sealed with stamps. Officials carry documents across provinces, their words binding as emperor's voice. Without invention of record, empire could not endure. You sit in a Han library. Shelves of bamboo slips, silk scrolls, paper sheets surround you. Scribes copy texts, their brushes steady, their hands ink-stained. The room smells of paper, of ink, of dust. Wisdom hums in silence. The classics of Confucius, records of emperors, treatises on medicine, maps of stars, poems of longing. The empire's soul preserved in ink, its spirit enduring beyond walls. Innovation is not only utility, it is identity. To invent is to endure, to leave mark, to shape future. The Han do not know their inventions will last millennia, but they trust their value, and in trusting, they pass them on. Paper will carry words across world. The seismograph will inspire science for centuries. Medicine will guide healers through generations. Iron tools will feed millions. You pause at the river's edge, at night. The moon glimmers silver, the water flows gold, the stars spread wide. You think of paper rustling, of bells chiming, of seismograph clanging, of silk shimmering. You feel weight of innovation, the quiet genius of empire, the spirit of people who dream not only of power, but of possibility. The river flows still, carrying memory. It has seen myth and bronze, philosophy and war, empire and brilliance. Now it carries invention, the seeds of future planted in present, and you walk with it, step by step, deeper into story of China. The caravans of the Silk Road carry silk, jade and spices, but woven between their goods is something lighter than cloth, heavier than stone, belief. Ideas travel with merchants and monks, carried not in wagons but in words, in chants, in memory. From India, across deserts and mountains, a new faith enters China, Buddhism. You walk with a monk along dusty road. His robe is simple, his head shaved, his bowl empty but for offerings of rice. He chants softly as he walks, words in Sanskrit, words of compassion, of suffering, of release. He has travelled far, through lands strange and perilous, to bring teachings eastward. In his steps, the faith spreads. When Buddhism first arrives, it seems foreign. Its statues of Buddha, serene and cross-legged, are unlike Chinese gods. Its chants are strange, its texts difficult, but its heart, compassion, the search to end suffering finds echo in Chinese soil. The people, weary of war, weary of burden, listen. They hear that life is suffering, that desire binds, that release comes through awakening. They hear of karma, of rebirth, of nirvana beyond. These ideas are new, but not alien. Slowly they take root. Step into a Han town where Buddhism has arrived. A small shrine stands near market, its walls plain, its roof low. Inside, a statue of Buddha sits, carved in wood, painted in gold. Lamps burn before it, incense curls in air. A monk chants, his voice low, his cadence steady. Farmers kneel, merchants bow, children watch with wide eyes. They do not yet know all teachings, but they feel calm, they feel hope. In caves along the Silk Road, paintings bloom. At Dunhuang, monks carve temples into cliffs, their walls painted with Buddhas, bodhisattvas, heavenly beings. Colors glow, reds, blues, golds. Stories unfold in murals of Buddha's birth, his enlightenment, his teachings. Travelers stop, pray, leave offerings, continue journey. The caves become library of faith, art eternal in stone. Buddhism does not come alone. It meets Taoism and Confucianism, already deep in Chinese life. At first they clash. Confucians scoff at monks who abandon families. Taoists frown at foreign rituals. But over time, blending begins. Chinese Buddhists emphasize filial piety, weaving Confucian values into practice. They speak of Tao as way, linking Taoist thought with Buddhist path. The faith adapts, transforms, becomes Chinese while remaining Buddhist. You sit in temple courtyard. A monk teaches in words simpler now, easier to grasp. He speaks of four noble truths: that life is suffering, that desire causes suffering, that release is possible, that path leads to release. He outlines eightfold path: right view, right action, right meditation. His students listen, nod, chant. They are not princes, not nobles, but farmers, merchants, children. For Buddhism offers not only power to rulers, but hope to all. Art reflects the change. Statues of Buddha begin to look Chinese. Robes flowing like Han garments, faces rounder, expressions softer. Bodhisattvas are carved with crowns and jewels, compassionate beings who delay nirvana to help others. Temples rise, bells toll, incense thickens. The sound of chanting joins sound of drums and flutes, blending with rituals of old. The empire listens too. Emperors see value in Buddhism's teachings of compassion, of order, of morality. They welcome monks, build temples, translate texts. At court, debates flare between Confucians, Taoists, Buddhists, each claiming wisdom, each offering guidance. The emperor weighs them, balances them, uses each to shape rule. You walk into a library where monks work. Scrolls from India lie open, their characters strange. Chinese scribes dip brushes, translating, adapting, weaving foreign words into local script. Page by page, sutras take form, carrying Buddha's voice into Chinese tongue. It is patient work, sacred work, one that will last centuries. Buddhism also brings new visions of cosmos. Heavens filled with Buddhas, hells filled with torments. Cycles of rebirth, stretching infinite. Chinese imagination expands. Life is not single span, but endless wheel. Actions matter not only now, but in lives to come. Compassion is not only virtue, but necessity. Hope lies not only in this world, but beyond. For the weary, this is comfort. A farmer who suffers hunger believes better rebirth awaits if he lives kindly. A widow who mourns believes she may see loved one again. A child who fears finds solace in chanting, in statues serene. Buddhism offers peace where chaos once reigned, meaning where burden once crushed. You stand in temple at night. Lamps flicker, bells toll, chants echo. The air smells of incense, of smoke, sweet and sharp. Outside, stars spread wide, desert winds sigh. Inside, silence deepens, broken only by prayer. You close your eyes, and you feel it. The blending of worlds, the meeting of cultures, the spread of faith across mountains, across time. Buddhism will endure in China, growing through centuries, inspiring art, shaping thought, guiding lives. It will mingle with Taoism, challenge Confucianism, create schools of meditation, compassion, devotion. It will fill caves with murals, mountains with temples, villages with chants. It will become part of China's soul. And yet, it is only one voice in chorus. The Han still stand, but cracks begin, rebellions stir, factions rise, mandate trembles, faith spreads, but empire falters. Soon, unity will shatter again, and China will fracture into kingdoms, each carrying beliefs, each shaping culture anew. The river flows on, carrying memory. It has seen Sha Shang Shou. It has seen Qin's harshness, Han's brilliance, Silk Road's reach, Buddhism's arrival. It will see collapse too, and legends of kingdoms, and echoes of dynasties yet to come. You walk with it, step by step, into twilight of Han. The Han have endured for centuries. Their scholars have shaped morals, their generals have expanded borders, their merchants have carried silk across deserts, their inventors have pressed knowledge into paper. Yet, no dynasty lasts forever. The same forces that raise an empire, ambition, wealth, power, begin, in time, to weigh it down. And so the Han tremble, then crack, then collapse into fragments once more. You walk into the palace at Chang'an, near the dynasty's end. The halls are still tall, the walls still gleam, the officials still bow in rows, but the air is heavy, thick with intrigue, with fear. Eunuchs whisper in corners, their voices sharp, their influence vast. Generals march at borders, but eye the capital too, their loyalty thin, their ambitions deep. Ministers quarrel in chambers, each serving not empire, but faction. The emperor, young or weak, becomes pawn in games larger than himself. Corruption spreads like shadow. Taxes weigh heavier on peasants, their grain taken, their labor demanded. Fields lie barren, families starve, villages grow restless. Those who suffer turn to faith, to rebellion, to desperate hope. Among them rise the yellow turbans, peasants led by healers and mystics who promise new age, who chant of heaven's mandate shifting. They tie yellow cloth around their heads, symbols of unity, of defiance. Their numbers swell hundreds of thousands across the land. You walk among them in their camps. Fires burn in circles, drums beat, chants rise into night. Their leaders speak of balance restored, of suffering ended, of dynasty fallen. Farmers listen, their faces gaunt, their eyes burning with hunger and hope. Children cling to mothers. Soldiers sharpen blades made of farming tools. They are not nobles, not trained, but they are many, and their voices shake empire. The Han armies march to crush them. Battles rage across plains, rivers run red, fields trampled. The yellow turbans are defeated, but not erased. Their spirit lingers, their defiance echoes. The empire bleeds, even in victory. Meanwhile, northern tribes press harder. The Xiongguo, long a thorn, raid across borders, their horsemen swift, their arrows sharp. Other nomads push in waves, testing walls, straining armies. Generals hold them back, but at cost. Resources drain, loyalty wavers. Each campaign weakens heart of empire. Inside, eunuchs seize power, controlling emperors, silencing rivals. Officials grumble, generals seethe. Civil war brews within as enemies press without. The mandate of heaven, once claimed with confidence, now trembles like reed in storm. You walk through a village in these years. Houses stand empty, their doors broken, their fields overgrown. Children scavenge for grain, mothers weep, fathers march in armies far away. The people no longer see emperor as father of realm. They see him as distant shadow, powerless to help, unable to protect. Their loyalty frays, their patience ends. At last, The dynasty cracks. Warlords rise, each commanding armies, each claiming legitimacy. Provinces break from center, generals seize land, nobles fortify halls. The emperor remains in name, but real power scatters like shards of clay jar. You stand on a battlefield where two rival lords clash. Their banners ripple, their soldiers shout, their drums pound. But neither fights for Han. They fight for themselves, for land, for future. The dynasty that once united all is now prized to be claimed, its authority a cloak for ambition. In capital, palaces fall into disrepair, the libraries gather dust, the schools empty. Scrolls still hold wisdom of Confucius, of history, of law, but their words cannot stop swords. The emperor bows to one lord today, another tomorrow, his throne a pawn. The Son of Heaven is no longer voice of order, but echo of what was. The Han collapse is not swift, not single blow, but slow unraveling. Rebellion, invasion, corruption, ambition, threads pulled until fabric tears. When it ends, China is not one, but many. Kingdoms rise, warlords rule, armies march endlessly. It is age of fracture, of legend, of sorrow and story. And yet out of ruin comes memory. For even as Han fades, its legacy endures. People still call themselves Han, still see in its centuries a golden age. Its inventions, its philosophy, its trade routes remain, woven into fabric of culture. The dynasty is gone, but its name endures, carried by people, carried by history. You stand at riverbank at dusk. The yellow river glimmers faint, the sky burns red. You think of emperors who dreamed of eternity, of peasants who rose in desperation, of generals who turned against crown, of scholars who copied texts by lamplight. You feel weight of collapse, not end, but change, not silence, but transformation. The Han have fallen, but story flows on. Ahead waits age of kingdoms, of heroes and legends, of sorrow and song. China will fracture, but even in fracture, it will create tales that echo through centuries. The river flows steady, carrying dust of empire, carrying memory of brilliance, carrying whisper of future, and you walk with it, step by step, into time of three kingdoms. The Han has fallen, its palaces lie quiet, its throne empty of true power, its mandate shattered, but in the space left by collapse, new voices rise, generals, warlords, ministers, men who carve kingdoms from fragments of empire. China fractures, yet out of this fracture grows one of its most enduring legends, the time of the three kingdoms. You walk across lands scarred by endless war, fields are burned, villages abandoned, rivers clogged with wreckage. Yet amid ruin, armies march, banners ripple, drums thunder. Each warlord dreams not only of survival, but of uniting all once more, of claiming mandate, of becoming emperor. Among them, three kingdoms emerge, each with its own strength, its own vision. In the north, Wei, vast and resourceful, ruled by Cao Cao, cunning general and ruthless statesman. In the west, Shu, small but resilient, ruled by Liu Bei, whose kindness and virtue win hearts. In the east, Wu, strong on rivers, ruled by Sun Quan, pragmatic, balanced, steady. Together, they form triangle of power, locked in struggle, that will shape generations. You enter the court of Wei. Tao Tao sits upon his seat, his eyes sharp, his words quick. He commands armies vast, his lands rich, his strategies brilliant. Some call him villain, cruel, ambitious, merciless. Others call him genius, practical, disciplined, unmatched in cunning. His soldiers respect him, his enemies fear him. He seeks not only to rule, but to build, to restore order by strength. In Shu, the atmosphere is different. Liu Bei, of humble lineage, claims kinship with Han, presenting himself as heir of dynasty. He weeps for people's suffering, shows kindness to soldiers, wins loyalty through virtue. His brothers in arms, Guan Yu and Jiang Fei, stand beside him, heroes of courage and loyalty, sworn to him in bond of brotherhood. To peasants weary of cruelty, Liu Bei is beacon of hope. His kingdom is small, but his heart wins great devotion. In Wu, rivers, shape, power. Sun Quan rules from south, his fleet strong, his lands fertile. He is neither as ruthless as Cao Cao, nor as idealistic as Liu Bei, but steady, thoughtful, pragmatic. His advisors counsel him wisely, his generals guard his borders, his sailors control the waters, while others chase ambition. He endures. You stand on battlefield where these powers clash. The Battle of Red Cliff's legendary, immense. Cao Cao advances with massive fleet, his ships stretching across river. Liu Bei and Sun Quan form uneasy alliance, their generals Zhou Yu and Zhu Jilin guiding strategy. The river glimmers under winter sky, the air cold, the wind sharp. At night, fireships are released, carried by wind, crashing into Cao Cao's fleet. Flames roar, smoke rises, water burns. His armada is shattered, his ambition checked. Red Cliffs becomes turning point, legend of strategy, alliance, fire. From this age rise not only battles, but heroes whose names echo through centuries. Guan Yu, red-faced warrior with long beard, loyal beyond death, revered as god of war. Zhang Fei, fierce and wild, fearless in battle, his roar enough to terrify enemies. Zhuge Liang, strategist of Shu, mind like storm, wisdom like river, he who commands wins, who devises plans, who becomes symbol of intellect itself. Their deeds, recorded in history, embroidered in legend, live on in hearts of generations. You walk through a village at dusk. Children play at being Guan Yu and Zhang Fei, waving wooden swords, shouting oaths of loyalty. An old man recites tales of Zhu Jiling's cleverness, of battles won through wit, of loyalty that defies death. The people, though weary of real war, find comfort in legends, in stories where virtue matters, where loyalty endures, where courage triumphs. The Three Kingdoms is not only history, but myth, captured in epic tale, Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Written centuries later, it blends fact and story, painting warlords as heroes, villains legends. It becomes one of China's greatest works, its phrases remembered, its lessons quoted. The empire long divided, must unite, long united, must divide, thus it has ever been. And yet, beyond story, the reality is harsh. The wars drain land, families broken, lives lost, farmers toil under shifting rulers, taxes heavy, harvests uncertain, soldiers march year after year, never knowing peace. Children grow old before they see stability. The people endure, but at cost immense. You stand in ruined city. Walls are cracked, roofs fallen, streets empty, grass grows in courtyards, silence heavy. Once it was market, alive with voices. Now it is memory of war. Yet even here, a child plants seeds in corner. A woman lights incense before ancestors' shrine. A man carves tools from scrap. Life persists, even in ruin. The Three Kingdoms do not last forever. Wei grows strongest, then falls to Sima family, who found new dynasty. Shu weakens, its hopes fading with death of heroes. Wu endures longest, but is swallowed in time. Once more China unites, this time under Jin. The cycle continues, division to unity, unity to division. But the memory of Three Kingdoms endures far longer than their rule. For people remember not only battles, but loyalty of brothers, wisdom of strategists, courage of generals. They see in them ideals to live by, warnings to heed, lessons to remember. The legends become part of China's soul, retold in opera, in story, in dream. You stand at riverbank at night. The water flows dark, the stars shimmer above. You think of Cao Cao's cunning, of Liu Bei's kindness, of Sun Quan's steadiness. You think of Guan Yu's loyalty, Zhang Fei's courage, Zhu Jiliang's brilliance. You feel weight of war, but also glow of story. The Three Kingdoms are gone, but their voices echo, their shadows linger, their legends shine. The river flows still, carrying memory of heroes, carrying dust of battles, carrying stories that never fade. Ahead waits new dynasty, new rise, new fall. For history like river flows without end. The Three Kingdoms fade, and new banners rise. The Qin dynasty reunites China, bringing momentary peace, but the cycle of unity and division continues. Dynasties rise, dynasties fall, each claiming mandate of heaven, each struggling to hold it, each leaving trace upon the land. You walk through halls of Qin. They celebrate victory over Wu, their rule proclaimed over all China. Yet cracks form quickly, court intrigues, noble quarrels, invasions from north. Unity dissolves again, fragments scattering like broken jade. The story of dynasties is not one of permanence, but of rhythm, of tides that come and go. And yet, through all this, China endures. Its rivers flow, its mountains stand, its people till soil, weave silk, carve characters, chant prayers. Dynasties may fracture, but culture deepens, beliefs blend, art flourishes, wisdom grows. The inventions of Han, the laws of Qin, the virtues of Confucius, the mysteries of Tao, the compassion of Buddha, all remain, layered into soul of civilization. You stand once more at Yellow River's edge. Its waters roll heavy, golden, with silt, steady as heartbeat. It has seen Xia, Shang, Zhou. It has seen Qin's iron, Han's brilliance. Three kingdoms' heroes, Jin's brief triumph. It has seen walls raised, roads stretched, tombs filled, books written, faiths embraced. It has carried memory for thousands of years, and it flows still. The river whispers that history is not only rulers and battles, but people. The farmer bending in field, the scholar copying texts, the mother lighting incense, the child dreaming by lamplight. They are the true dynasty, enduring through change, carrying tradition forward. Empires rise and fall, but humanity flows like river, endless, eternal, alive. And so you drift into memory, into silence, into timelessness. The journey slows now. The voices of emperors fade, the drums of battle quiet. Only the river remains, steady and soft, its waters glimmering faint in moonlight. You lie down in its echo, listening to its endless flow. Each dynasty becomes a ripple, each invention a sparkle on the surface, each hero a stone smoothed by time. Together they form a current that carries you gently, carrying the weight